Hey, welcome back, everybody. Guess who's here? It is Carter time. Carter Hendricks is with us from the Chamber and from everything, AUSA and all that good stuff. What's going on?
Just another busy day. How about you?
He's been out bell ringing today, right?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm not always as casual as I am today, but for a good cause, we're bell ringing for the Salvation Army at Walmart. What a great day to do it.
Were you doing this Kiwanis today?
This is actually for the Chamber.
Okay.
Yeah, our staff, we just took from, I think we started at 9 and went until 3, and I had the 2 to 3 shift, and what a great day to do it. I mean, people coming by, of course, one of the strategies is if it's cold, people feel sorry for the bell ringers that give money. So a good cold day is actually a good day to get money. So it was a good day for the Salvation. It was indeed.
Yeah, I went home at lunch and took my dog out and didn't put coat on.
Right.
And I realized quickly, I should have.
It's kind of windy out there too.
Let's talk about some things that are going on in the world. Deployments are back in the news now, particularly since you were here. The new Afghanistan news coming out. 101st going back.
That's right. Well, of course, we knew all along that soldiers from the 101st were going to be going back to Afghanistan and potentially even Iraq. And so I think when we heard the President's news a couple weeks ago now, it wasn't a surprise to anyone who's been tracking the information and seeing exactly how this was going to play out. I think all it really means is that potentially we have a couple brigades who were expected to leave sometime late in 2010. It sounds like they might leave a little bit earlier in 2010, maybe more like late summer instead of mid to late fall. And so those soldiers were already expecting orders. It just now looks like the timeline is going to be a little bit quicker. And of course, we hate to hear that, but we certainly understand the mission, and we understand that the soldiers at the 101st will be ready for it whenever they do get their orders. But not surprising, and the good news for us is, if there's a silver lining, is that it's still a nature of a deployment that it's strung along a longer timeline. And what that means is, at any given point, not all the soldiers will be gone, but at most every point, some soldiers will be gone. So it's a different way of understanding deployment. And that's one of the things we've really been promoting with our chamber members and with our ministries that are out there, is just understanding that today's deployment is very different than it used to be, Eddie. It's not 20,000 leave in 2 months and 20,000 come back a year later. It's 16,000 are rotated over a 12-month span. And so you've always got soldiers in harm's way, and you've always got families who are dealing with the deployment. And we just have to understand that as a community. One
thing I wanted to ask you about, and we didn't talk about this in advance, but I noticed the other day they are breaking ground for the new PX down there.
That's right.
Big investment at Fort Campbell.
Well, new commissary. Yeah, of course, they already got one of the largest, I think they do have the world's largest AFES PX an Army installation. Now they're going to break ground. They did break ground at the commissary.
Close enough.
On the commissary. And so that's good news, because if you've seen the current commissary, it's actually the one that when I grew up and we used to go down there, it's the same one that was there in the late 70s.
And one of the busiest around.
Absolutely, because we're the 4th largest Army installation.
Right.
And so, with all the retirees, people who utilize it, what Colonel Swope used to say when he was a garrison commander is that we have the world's largest PX next door to the world's smallest commissary.
There you go.
And so they're excited about breaking ground on that new commissary. It's going to be a fantastic feature, not only for current active duty military, but all of those in this region who utilize the commissary and on-post services. So it's exciting news.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back. Carter Hendricks is our guest. We're going to come back and talk about some other things that are going on around the area. Who knows what we'll talk about? We'll be right back. Welcome back. Carter Hendricks is our guest. We'll talk about anything you want to talk about. But
we were talking Kentucky basketball.
We were talking Kentucky basketball during the break. 101st Band has a performance this week.
They do. In fact, this is the first time they've been back here to perform as a full band, I guess, in about 2.5 years. You're talking deployments. These deployment rotations make it difficult for the band to be able to get to these large community events. And they contacted the Pennyroyal Arts Council about 3 or 4 weeks ago and said, we want to do a concert in the holidays at the Alhambra Theater. So this Thursday night, December 17th, 7 p.m., the 101st Band is going to be playing a concert free of charge at the Alhambra.
Wow.
And everyone and anyone's invited to come. Again, it's open to the public. We know the Alhambra seats about, 750 or so. Yeah. So first come, first serve. And we hope to fill up the Alhambra and see a great concert. The 101st Band is so much more than patriotic music. I mean, they'll do Christmas music. They're going to be doing rock and roll, country, medleys. I mean, they're just a top-notch orchestra-style band.
And they are very good, folks. If you haven't seen them, check it out. I mean, it's something you'd pay for, and you don't have to.
Absolutely. I mean, incredibly talented people, incredibly talented people. and vocalist. I mean, again, it's not just instrument, it's a lot of vocals. And it'll just be a fun time. And again, it's free. It's Thursday night, 7 p.m. at the Alhambra. If anyone has questions, they can contact us at the Chamber, of course, or you can call the Arts Council, and they'll be happy to help you as well. But again, the 101st Band reached out and said, we just want to come do this concert. They're doing a similar one in Clarksville, and let's just show them some good support and show our attendance and listen to great music.
The other day, we had the anniversary of the Gander crash, and I know that I always tell the story. I remember I was in radio at the time, and when that happened, calls came in from literally all over North America that day, and we talked to people in Canada and all over the country about it, but we had a great ceremony the other day.
Well, it's one of those situations where we make a commitment to do every year because we realize how important it is to remember. And we have so many of the families who are still throughout the region, of course families who stay connected to one another throughout the year. I'm part of a Gander listserv, and about this time every year it really starts to become active because family members are communicating with one another. And so we are certainly pleased to have the ceremony each year, and I think this past weekend was a fitting ceremony. And we had great participation from Fort Campbell. Colonel Kandarian, who's the 2nd Brigade Commander, offered some wonderful comments. Mayor Kemp, Squire Jones representing Judge Tribble were there. Just fantastic opportunity to again remember those who paid that ultimate sacrifice, and to remind folks that next year is the 25th anniversary. And every 5 years we try to do something a little more unique, a little special, making sure that we're appropriate to remember those who've paid that ultimate sacrifice. And we're looking next year to do something unique. And so just anyone who has ideas out there about how we can help make sure we honor those victims of that Gander crash, feel free to let us know. For the 25th, we're going to make sure that it's a quite appropriate and distinct ceremony.
You know, I want to go totally off the subject here, do a 180 on something, but something I'm curious about from the Chamber's aspect. Until about 2 months ago, I was unaware of this eclipse thing that's coming up in about 8 years, which Hopkinsville, Kentucky is the center of the universe for that. It's the closest. Are you familiar?
I am.
Any preliminary talks about what's going to be done for that?
You know, interestingly enough, I was just overhearing a conversation earlier with Cheryl Cook, who's the Convention and Visitors Bureau Director, and of course works very hard to try to bring people into the community around the ideas of at some point, I can't remember what I was hearing. I know that you got the Little Green Men will be on a 5th year here pretty soon.
Right.
And then we've got this event coming up, and we've got this Edgar Casey legend here in this area about how unique that is from a tourism marketing perspective. That when you're trying to bring people into your community, you have to look at what makes you different. And this thing here in 8 years, I don't have all the details of it, the science of it, but I know that we are, as you say, if you want to be a part of this experience,
right here. I mean,
right here,
if you go to Wikipedia
where the Martians
right now,
once landed in Kelly, Kentucky.
Exactly.
I mean, come on,
and,
top that.
And Edgar Casey, you know. But you know, if you go to Wikipedia right now and do a search on it, it says the epicenter of it is in a field somewhere, you know, north of Hopkinsville or something. So
I wonder what the value of that land is.
You could charge, like, you know, for lawn chairs or something.
Build an amphitheater right out there with a big telescope.
There you go.
Now, don't look at the eclipse, right? What was it? I remember in school we had an eclipse when I was. Do not look directly. You had to have the little pinhole or something.
Well,
like
yeah,
that.
and you had your thing, your telescope with a little piece on top of it, and you're right, the pinhole that you put a piece of cardboard up.
Right.
Okay, we're not going to look at it, all right?
Yeah, I promise. I've only got one good eye left. I can't take chances.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I do want to just say this. We've had a few ribbon cuttings recently of new members. We've welcomed a lot of new members. Just had a ribbon cutting today with Osaka Japanese Restaurant there on the Boulevard. David and the staff did a great job with the ribbon cutting today. And just want to encourage people to get out there and support the new businesses here in the community. Shop Christian County first. Don't forget, we've still got a few shopping days left. Make sure you shop Christian County first. And we've had several ribbon cuttings coming up. Check out HopkinsvilleChamber.com for all of them. If you have any questions, at 885-9096.
Carter Hendricks, he is actually going to sit in on cat calls one night, folks. Right? No, the control room likes that. They said, nice.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
Nice.
When they're about 20-0 is probably when it'll work out, right?
Well, give them another week or two.
That's about what it's going to take.
Let's
not get too confident.
Yeah, really.
Let's just win the next one.
We'll be right back.